All right, next couple of minutes, I'm going to share with you why I believe that unguardedly being yourself might be the most important thing that you can do when collaborating toward a common purpose. That groove that I just played, I first fell in love with when I fell in love with my wife. It's from the Caribbean. It's called soca, soul calypso. And when she took me to Guyana for our honeymoon, that groove was everywhere, like 24/7. And like some of you right now, people smile a little bit more. Some of you might even have moved your booty just a little bit. Somebody much wiser than me once said that talking about music is like dancing about architecture, but I'm going to try. Before we dive in, I want to take a deep breath and invite you to do that with me. We're going to breathe in to a count of 4. We're going to hold our breath to a count of 4. We're going to breathe out to a count of 4, and again hold our breath to a count of 4. Do that a couple of times. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, loud enough that your neighbor can hear you, okay? So I invite you, if you'd like, to close your eyes and breathe in. 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. And hold. Okay, I want you to take another big breath in and then a breath out. Audibly. Okay, one more. Add a sigh on this next one. Okay, this next one is sound. Any kind of sound you like. Okay, this next one, land on a hum. Okay, one more, land on a hum and kind of stick to a tone. Okay, one more, listen to your neighbor. You don't have to match him, but just listen to your neighbor. One more. Okay, how did that feel? I like to think of that as one example of synergy. Now, I'm convinced that wherever 2 or more are gathered toward a shared purpose, a common intent of some sort, that purpose is there with them. That intention is right there in the room, and with it the potential for something much bigger than the individual talent or insight or knowledge or skill or ability that's in that room or between those people. That's what I think of as synergy. Now, the etymology of the word is in working together. You'll often hear it defined as a sum that is larger than its parts. Synergy creates new ideas that not one person could have come up with on their own. Let me say that again. Synergy is something that creates new ideas that no one person could have had alone. I like to think of it as something that can connect us in a unique way. Jazz pianist and management professor Frank Barrett, I think, has a phrase that I really like in the way that I think of it. He says it's kind of like collaborative innovation. Now, I reportedly started making up harmonies on Sunday mornings when I was about 3 years old, and making up harmonies with others is still one of my very, very favorite things to do. And as I got a little bit older and learned more about music, the musical improvisations that happened became, more complex, maybe a bit more interesting. And what happened is that I continued to have these moments, these experiences of shared musical joy that give me goosebumps. I'm hoping that you maybe had just a little glimpse of what that might be like a couple of minutes ago. I'm an addict, and musical synergies born from improvisation is really something that has me hooked. And so I spent time trying to figure out how can I get more of that elsewhere in my life, not just in music, but in my consulting, in my education, in my family, in my marriage. I want more of that synergy. So how might you get it? My hypothesis is that when you have multiple people willing and able to improvise together, the chances for synergy go up. 1 + 1 can then be more than 3, but it can also be 1. I believe that when we allow ourselves to play in what I think of as collaborative improvisation, the chances for synergy go up. Now, what's this collaborative improvisation thing? There's one form of it that we all practice every day. It's called conversation. We take this incredible language, this incredible vehicle rather, called language, and we play off of one another to create. So I got interested, what happens in our brains when we create? And I have a question for you. Typically, traditionally, what is the most common color for a fridge? White. And a cow drinks? Congratulations, if you said milk, your system 1 is working wonderfully. Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Slow and Fast talks about how our intuitive system 1 is really quick and not always accurate, because cows typically drink water, yes?
At what age?
Oh, but our system 2, thank you, is wonderful in rationalizing our system 1 response. I give you fridge, I give you white, I give you cow, I give you drink. The logical response from our system 1 is not water. But as soon as we say milk, we then would go, oh, but calves drink, they're kind of cows. Anyways, you all have probably also heard that our left and our right brain hemisphere are different, but they're important. Our system 1, our system 2 are important. I believe that when we make our most important decisions, we need both. Now, neuroscientists are pretty clear that making music with others is a whole brain kind of activity. It engages system 1, it engages system 2, our left and right brain hemispheres. I'm convinced that improvisation that can lead to synergy almost requires also, well, almost your whole brain. I'm fascinated by research that Charles Lim and his team conducted at Johns Hopkins in 2007. What they did is they put improvising jazz musicians in an fMRI scanner. That's one of those that actually can see the motions in the brain, not just take pictures. And what they found when they looked at jazz musicians improvising in this MRI scanner is that what happens during improvisation is the part of our brain that controls our self-monitoring, that's responsible for, do I look okay, am I saying that right? That part of our brain gets powered way down. And that leads to less inhibition, that leads to a willingness to make some mistakes maybe, and not counteract all these wonderful generative impulses that can come with improvisation. So the part of our brain that makes sure we do it just so gets powered down in order to improvise. Can you remember being on a really amazing date? Or maybe a conversation with like your bestest friend? That sensation of, I can just be myself right now. That's when that self-monitoring is powered down. My friend Dave Fearon calls this being of a jazz mind. You're ready to improvise. Turns out that people on dates take chances, as do jazz musicians. I can tell you that from my own personal experience, the most wonderful musical creations, songs, arrangements that I'm most proud of, a lot of them happened because of a mistake that made them unique. The bass player, this guy, plays the wrong note, but it's actually better for that chord. It makes something different, something new that we can chorale around and create a piece of music that is beyond what we had imagined. So imagine if 2 or more of us are gathered and we are maybe project planning, or we are in a strategy conversation, or we have some sort of important conversation where we need to make a decision now, and we're actually listening, like really listening to each other. And we're maybe, just maybe, turning down a little bit of that self-monitoring part in our brain. That would be jazz. So the next time that you have a chance to converse, whether it's in a team meeting or in a strategy session, I want to encourage you to consider to just lower your guard a little bit and to be really intentional about listening, to become a more willing improviser. And I think you find that the chances for synergy are pretty real. And so, in closing, I want to encourage you to consider that if you're willing to take a chance on people, and if you're willing to be just a little bit less guarded, Cody Johnson might have something here. And he says, if you got a chance, take it. Take it if you got a chance. If you got a dream, better chase it. 'cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can. You gotta take it, that chance, till you can.